InShalla and Ashe. Hey, I tried to use these hotkeys. Didn't quite work for me, but however, blessings to you, my energetic beings. So we have a full moon coming up this week. It's going to be like a spiritual asset that we will take through to the next season into Pisces. Just leveling up our spiritual acumen, if you will. And it's like, how often, if at all, do you have a conversation with the universe, or a spirit conversation, an angelic conversation, or even an otherworldly ancestral conversation? So that's the deets for this season in Neptune. But welcome to today's Daily Snippet. I am your host. I am a practicing holistic Sha'medium, a subtle energetic surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies, the spirit of the Dagara tribe, brought to the West from Burkina Faso from my elder, along with the subtle energies, elements, and elemental beings from the elemental realm into the imaginal realm with offerings, rituals, and prescriptions to just add to your personal juice, your container. But my intention truly is to merge these indigenous ways of wisdom, the technologies with the subtle realms, the etheric highway, to assist you into navigating your prime directive, your inner genius, just the magical being that resides within you through and through. My name is Tonya D, and welcome to my virtual medicine room. And if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tonya D. Go ahead and hit the bell button so you are notified. And also, if you don't mind, liking the video, sharing, or commenting, so that algorithm on YouTube will echo me out to like-minded musers in the galactic universe, just like you, along with other social channels like Instagram, TikTok, and my musing podcast, Musing with Tonya D. And my Voices of the Otherworld immersion into the elemental or mineral or metal, clair-audience, sigils, community, conversation. You know, the message of adversity, like, do you gossip or do you carry a frequency of jealousy? That means your mineral or metal frequency might just be out of alignment. A divination is called for, a ritual, a ceremony. And then I did dreams yesterday, just finished the Dream Weaver, accessing, acknowledging, and accepting the dreams, the channel of our dreams, in Musing with Tonya D, my private group. But for today, for your inspiration and intuitive spiritual acumen, being that we are in the season of fire, today my musing podcast, Musing with Tonya D podcast, was actually dedicated to the ancestors. The ancestors are any being essence that's transcended this timeline, and we have the ability to call upon them when we create a relationship with them. It's not like, hey mom, how is it going, etc., etc., especially when you haven't reached out since their Transcendence Day, let alone gone to the cemetery and visited them or anything else. It's like any other relationship. You could even call on the frequency of an artist, a saint, to do your bidding to create that relationship. So the options really are limitless. It's just you got to hit on the idea of who I should be having the conversation with. So yes, thank and bless the ancestors, and with all of that, Ashe. But with the season coming to the end, the Pisces season, the highest oceanic tide, and the full moon coming up in the season of Virgo, so it's our reality of spirit, or our spiritual reality. I just might create some rituals for the musing moon meditations instead of going into or through the natal signs. Let me know your thoughts about that. Please comment and share. Maybe I'll do a poll. But here we are today, and I'm having a little challenge with my mouse situation. But the cosmic energy of today, to opening up with spirit and like, where do we feel we belong? What is our spiritual practice? Knowing where we don't belong, you know. I was called for Monday's message to actually bring in the realm of the Fae and just opening up and being able to receive spirit, God, universe, the other world. It really is online for the entire cycle of 2022. So it's like signs, pay attention to signs, could be a smell, could be a thought, a book. Signs come in a variety of ways, but asking for signs, even sigils. And Sandalphon, he comes through with music, poetry, art, artistry. I'll be musing about Aries, the angelic being of Aries, coming up next Monday as well. But the messages today actually are coming in from the Fae, which I found curious, the messages of today. But first we have The singer of healing, this is part of the singers of the realms, the great ones. Their wings span the multiverse, multi-dimensions. They're constantly with us. Their energy, compassion, the good juicy juice is always available. And when we are in need, all we have to do is ask for help. And then just be aware of the events or the insights that follow upon that request. So when there's a message like we have today, we really need to acknowledge the presence of this singer in our lives and ask for the help that they can actually give us, and be open to the guidance, be receptive to the power. It's the energy, actually, expressing gratitude and just thanking these singers. That's really important because it completes the circuitry and it grounds their energy into the physical world, so we and others in our garden can benefit from them. So when we open ourselves through prayer, meditation, or love to these singers, we're allowing their essence to literally flow right through us. So if you can think about what happened the last time that you prayed for courage, for instance, or insight, or healing, or guidance, then you're going to understand a lot more about each of these singers individually. And if you think of the times or muse about the times that they have been actively present in your life, and actually what happened then after, like when you pray for courage, how do you feel afterwards? Or were your feelings or your actions any different than they were before the prayer? So when we pray for inner strength, we get it. And oftentimes, or sometimes, it comes in a more subtle form than we had actually hoped for. But these personal experiences just tell us how the singers affect our day-to-day lives. But they also give us a sense of how the singer themselves may interact also with other people. So sometimes they act in our lives subtly, and other times their presence is almost palpable. It's intense. It's very clear. The touch of their wings may bring a gentle feeling, kind of like a butterfly wisp, or a strength or love within us. And oftentimes something that enables us to carry on, just coping through the challenges, the adversities, the difficulties, whatever that looks like. Or we make the miracles, large or small, happen for us and to others as well. But however we experience these singers, even if we do reject their aid, they are always with us, and they decide with us. In fact, they are also within us as well. So they're part of our being. They're part of the entire universe, part of all that is and will be. They have this infinite, eternal song of the galactic cosmos. And just knowing that when we are helped by a singer, we do not always get what we expect, right? Sometimes what we receive might just be very unexpected, but usually and always it's what we actually need. So it's like just trusting the process when this comes in. So it's a major step in the evolution of humanity. So these singers are these ministering angels. They're like the Greek gods and goddesses. They have a variety of faces of unity. But the first that they send, there's this song. It's called Ecstasis. It's the frequency and the vibration of the galactic universe to the world of the Fae and to the earth and all of the Otherworldlies, actually. But they're the givers of grace, which is given whether we deserve it or not, whether we earn it or not. They give this unconditionally. It's always available to us, each and every one of us. They're not choosy. But when we choose to be open and receptive to it and of it, so being that we started off with the singer of healing, the realm, it's number 10, which I find curious. It tells me to trust your heart, or open your heart and trust in what you love, that frequency. So the singer of healing is healing the body, the mind, and the spirit. So the song of this singer has the power of healing deep wounds, the deepest of wounds, the wounds that can destroy mortal or immortal alike. It's like faith betrayed, love dishonored, trust abandoned. So the 10 is pretty curious because that is abandonment, and it's also trust. And even just other injuries of spirit, which are reflected in our body's illnesses and injuries. So it's through this song of healing that we become, or may become, restored or renewed, but only if the wounded one is prepared to forget and to let go, returning to love and compassion. So as always, with all the gifts of spirit, healing is always offered, but it's never forced, and it requires an active participant on our part. So true healing takes place on a variety of levels, all at once, whether it's body, mind, spirit, or soul. These levels are like, they're like a weave, they're like a pattern, they're all connected into one piece, like exact, they're magic, right? So we can't expect to change one thing without shifting or changing the others. It's like a domino effect. So our bodies do not do all these things on their own. There's these links between different aspects of our being, and our many, they're complex, sometimes they're obscure, and yet the principle of healing them is very simple. It's very simple itself. So we need only to let go of the things that are hurting or haunting us, and the truth of things, bring those in, the ones that can benefit us. Often it's simple, but it's still very difficult, right? Sometimes we get in our own way. But the song of healing is actually present everywhere, unlike the other aspects of the great song of ecstasis. It's without limit. So healing can seem complex as we dig our way through all those blocks and challenges and resistances, the old stuff. But in the end, it's just simply letting it go and opening up and just learning everything that we can. There's a lot of good information out there about healing, right? Different aspects of healing. I would say just keep to the essentials, keep it simple in the process of our mind so we don't go too far into left field. But being that this card is otherworldly, it's when illnesses of the body, the mind, or the spirit are prevailing, and we are disconnected from this great song of healing. So the question we really need to ask ourselves is like, what feelings or ideas or beliefs are we holding on to keep our wounds opened and also unhealed? And what can we do to nurture ourselves and be open to the sound of the harmonics of healing? And I think for myself, just musing out loud, we're in the season of Neptune and Pisces. So we're in the season of releasing, forgiving, letting go of our old wounds, our old narrative, our old story. So we can have this futuristic story that resonates with our frequency. So super juicy there and important. Let me see if I can get my little guy to work here. Oh, good. It likes me for a second. Yay. Then we have the singer of intuition, which is super juicy as well. Got a couple singers today. But number 7 is Pisces. It is Neptune. It is our 12th house. It is our intuition channel. It's our subconsciousness. So it's the starry night of the other world, those oceanic waves, the galaxy. It's 7. So this is like perception, perceptiveness, oracular powers, awareness, also trust. So the song of this singer of intuition carries all of the information that there is. Some people believe that this information is often called the Akashic Records, the Book of Life, the Book of Shadows, or our Shadow Records. So it really is this galactic super juicy filing cabinet library in the sky that everybody has, or we think we have to go to get the information. However, we don't actually need to go anywhere because this song is sung within our flesh and our bones, in our marrow, in our essence, just as it is with the rest of the galaxy, the universe. So at humanity's present stage of evolution, if we could consciously hear the song of that ecstasis, we would be overwhelmed. Our minds would literally be burned by that energy, that frequency. It would be like a jolting shock. I think it's like the nervous system in a way. So our kind galactic universe has led us to this place within our development where we can consciously hear just little bits or fragments, little quarks of this melody. But usually we have to develop skill and the active listening for it. But occasionally, like a few notes will come in and resonate so closely with our own being that we actually become aware of them. So we have these involuntary experiences, often called hunches or intuition, our hyper extended sense perceptions, if you will. So we can improve our reception center, that's kind of how I see it, of this song by learning to be very still-like and to listen in a very special way. Just practicing stillness, whether in meditation and listening, just asking and then listening. So it's this ability to understand and interpret like the meta symbols, the symbolism beyond the material symbols of oracles and omens and stars. And it's like the soul's harmonic, the portents, the movement of stars. So everything just is all part of this one piece of this one fabric, this one song. And therefore, all of this parts, we are a part of them as they are a part of us. So understanding them truly is just a matter of learning to be still and to asking and to listening, to the oneness as we are in it, and I feel like we're in it now. We are evolving, we are growing, and we're going to be more able to hear more and more of this song to really base our actions and our choices on the greater knowledge. So patience and practice are really the key to access the subtle energies, the subtle fields, if you will. So it's like our clear senses or clair-audience, which is clear hearing, clairvoyance, clear seeing, third eye stuff. Clairsentience is the knowing, clair knowing. Telepathy is just hearing each other without words, right? And premonitions are knowing before, getting glimpses into a future that's probable. But being that the presence of the singer of intuition is indicating that information is actually available to us. So if we will just listen to our inner knowing, perhaps we've already heard it. But oftentimes I think a lot of people, they still doubt their subtle senses, their spidey senses. But the singer is saying that it's time for us to really listen to our intuition, what our feelings, our hunches, our intuition are about the situation. So it really is a desirable day that we should seek solitude and meditate, practice stillness and patience. It's a time for an inward focus, a time to open the door to our intuition. There's a lot of ins in there, but they're important because these answers can be found within ourselves. So the presence of this singer, it's radiating light, it's illumination and insights with other messages as well. So I found it curious that we have two singers today, and they actually go with the cosmic highway as well, the energy there, which I'll get to. But to finish up the message, we have Rrarr, who is card 52. So this is being mindful of our feelings, our thoughts, and our thought forms. So then we can listen to intuition, because the 5 and the 2 makes a 7, which again takes us back to the singers of intuition. But this card is part of the fairy guides and the guardians. These are the ones that literally devote their time and their energy directly into guiding humans. So we can develop our special talents and our gifts, our own natural magic. And they really assist us to become more than we already are and exploring our unlimited potentials, just transcending ourselves. So these fairy guides actually assist us to discover the joys of living more harmoniously with nature, with each other, and also with them. But every fairy in their own way really is assisting the world, ours, theirs, and they move towards this greater harmony. And I think, or I hope we are too in our each way. But Rrarr is this wild energy. It's pure potential. It literally adds more potency to the sauce, if you will. So once upon a time, there were these 3 little pink boys, 3 little Rrarrs, and they all played generally in children's bedrooms. They liked the midnight tea parties. They liked the magical ambiance. And of course, they liked the kids, right? But unfortunately, the Rrarrs are way too rowdy, and they were thrown out into the garden, which really is where they belong anyways, is the nature realm. But they all learned from this experience in this Rrarr-ish kind of way, if you will. So then that quiets down the midnight hours, but we have the witching hour too, right? Which they thrive in. But they're not naughty, they're not wicked, they're just really energetic, they're spicy. And they're also not very discriminating. So they really like to join into whatever excitement is going on and add more energy to it, positive or negative. So they are, in a way, they are pure potential, and they potentize whatever is happening. So they're attracted to mobs, they're attracted to meditation groups, people like rising in frequency and any other kind of strong kind of states. They're kind of like Tiger. If you think about Tiger in the Pooh stories, Winnie the Pooh, they bounce, they zoom, they go off on crazy wild tangents. But think of like a dog growling there, or an engine of a car revving up, or a cat purring. They've got that, and like I said, they don't discriminate. It's really up to us to kind of do that, but they put the living spark into whatever is happening, and it's our choice what we do with it. But being that it is otherworldly, it indicates possibly a terrible problem both for the querent and the Rrarr, the energy is losing, that's lost control. It might be thrashing about in midair, like fairy glamoring, if you will, running wild, illusions, delusions, just kind of running rampant, if you will. Misunderstandings are getting escalated. So a cold shower is actually definitely in order. And to practice grounding and meditating and those kinds of exercises. And just backing off and like looking at things coolly and calmly. And honestly, that might not be enough, but like being a watcher, especially with what's going out in the world today, listen to our intuition in a place of healing, listening to our bodies, right? Being in a zone of neutrality, really. So that's kind of the messages. I thought it was way super curious that we had 2 singers on there. So that just tells me that the other realm is opening up to us and just receive the galactic juice. Oh, hang on. My little pad here is giving me issues. Okay, cool. There we go. Then on the elemental highway, we have a yang fire tiger of a day, a being yin. We have a lot of wood energy, 2 tigers and a rabbit. But the characteristics of a yang fire or somebody who is a fire being, it's like the sun is shining fire, or the light from the sun that shines on all living things. So a lot of people with yang fire as a master element, that's the day master is yang fire today. They're easygoing. They're the ones that you can trust. These people are direct. They're generous, but they're also passionate and enthusiastic in everything they do. So the purpose of our day master, yang fire, is to bring light and energy to people. It's the sun. That's why yang water is actually one of the most useful elements for our day. And we do got some yang water to this day element. So that's great. So it's the water surface amplifies the effects of the sun. If you think about being on a boat in the sun, you got the reflection of the water, right? So yang fire people are always looking for feedback. They're looking for the reflection, the mirror. And without it, they might start to doubt themselves. Like giving up's not an option for their frequency, their energy. These people do not give up, especially when they're faced with obstacles. Instead, they will overcome everything that really comes their way, no matter what it takes. But unfortunately, this relentless kind of nature can also be kind of their own personal self-destructing button, because they don't know when it's time to quit. The same way, like when the east or the sun rises out into the east and sets into the west, these people stick to a pattern that they're accustomed to, like the 9 to 5. They often resist change. They prefer to be in their comfort zone rather than to seek the change to their routine. And they're always forward looking or forward thinking. They don't really wallow in the past. They always see the good things, even in the rest of crazy circumstances when they know obstacles. But they do tend to neglect anything that's negative, which can actually be their ultimate undoing, because the sun shines on the earth's surface, but the warmth doesn't go very deep actually. So for a yang fire person, often they can't read beyond their outside personality. So given their optimistic venue, they see the best in everybody, and they judge based on their initial first impressions. So due to this tendency, they often forget that some people have dark and evil intentions. So they are often betrayed. And usually they're very selfless, they're very giving. They rarely ask for anything in return. They're very emotional, they're very sensitive. And they can really have a hard time being objective, especially when they feel really strong about something. So these people often can't decide without thinking about how the outcome is going to affect a relationship, their relationship with other people. You could count on them to follow guidelines, procedures. It would be out of their personality to do anything surprising. They don't really second guess themselves because they have this strong sense of what is right and what is wrong. They do what they believe is right. So it's the sun, it's the center point of everything, at least in their mind. So most young fire people have a strong self-confidence. They have the everything is possible kind of mindset. So if you criticize them, they will just work on increasing their brightness, their light, to prove you wrong, which is kind of great, really, right? We all need intuitive, good channels. So their ability can be like highly expendable, like fire, like Jupiter, especially when they're under pressure. So usually yang fire people, they can't do too much on their own. So their best role is to be a provider of the energy, the sun, the work, and the ideas to team up with people who will, in exchange, create this viable product or service. They need to work with somebody. And that is actually one of the biggest weaknesses of a day master like today, is they believe that they are the center of everything, the pie in the sky, like the sun or those Akashic records, right? So if they can walk into a room without drawing any attention, they're going to feel a little bit disappointed, because most of fire people, especially if they have a lot, they have natural charisma. So they get naturally, they get a lot of attention anyway. But if the fire is weak, they might not get so much, which then leads them to depression, emotional instability. So just knowing that yang fire is represented by the sun, it's usually very energetic, unless it's born in the middle of winter. So if you have a yang fire that's born in the middle of winter, or a strong presence, which we do, we've got yin water, that element, that also weakens the yang fire a little bit. But what's curious is the yang fire enjoys the presence of yang water, due to the ability to reflect the sunlight, excuse me, like I said, like on the boat. So this combination is super fast, it's super strong. And being that both elements are strong enough to interact with each other, this reflection brings light down to the earth. So it's significant, it's powerful, and fire also enjoys the presence of yin metal as an element as well. Hang on one second. So yang fire people can be very beneficial, really, and they like getting noticed. They can easily be depressed. They really are the hub of creativity, especially when it comes to ideas and wisdom. So when they're balanced, they will radiate with energy and confidence and just attract people, like with their magnanimous personality, their charisma. But if the energy is too strong, this person could have the opposing effect, be a little pushy possibly with their behavior. So fire can get lost in the delusions and practical ideas. But also, generally speaking, yang fire, the sun, it doesn't need a lot of the wood element, unlike yin fire, because the sun, metaphorically, can't get the support from the trees, if that makes sense. In some cases, right, it would be a better option for yin wood, the grass, to grow. So what also is curious, so in Chinese metaphysics, like wood is the birth of a timeline, and fire is the adolescence, it's our youth. So at a young age, it's very important for a young fire person, whatever they choose to do in their earlier years, they generally stick to it till the end. So it's very important for a fire person, a young fire person, to be inspired with positive activities, sports and arts and fire elements. But if they're involved in negative activities, which I totally find super curious, like drugs and crime and false beliefs, stuff like that, they will take it to the extremes with very little chance for them to get back on track. So for example, this is like the energy of Adolf Hitler, Lance Armstrong. These are just examples of how far a young fire stubbornness will actually go. However, if they take a positive path, they will be this unstoppable force as well. So with all of that, water, mineral, and earth are really needed for our day today. I would really create an offering to those elements. I would probably even do a light candle maybe, or ground into a variety of flavors that they each represent, and take in the light of the sun for your spiritual vision for today, because we're moving into a new spiritual stage and just embracing our heart's chamber for what we do believe. Our heart is our prime directive. The mind can flip the switch and shift to that optimistic venue to serve the queen, the heart. So if you can take a breath and also take a pause today, which I had to, this time change totally flipped me back a degree. So I know I was late getting to you. However, Still meditate, still pray, do an invocation to the other world, the ancestors, the beings in the unseen, the characters that love and have the light that they carry, and take in the light, the spiritual joy, the peace, the love, the integrity. Those really are the comforts or the comforter of the universe. And oftentimes, when we feel at home, that's the heart identifying where we belong, that things are flowing without adversity, and there's signs that we often dismiss. It's supposed to be easy, so really hold the light today. The singers are there to really assist us and just flick out the feelings that are less than juicy and feel into the ones that are part of your love channel. That song, the singer of healing and the singer of intuition, just loving ourselves and be loving to the older and just untangling the webs in the cosmic closet. And memories might come up that are fearful, or thoughts even. So go with the flow like a river or a stream flowing today. There's no need to look in the rearview mirror of the past. You know, you're doing great. We're all light walkers, you know, be the Yoda. Go in the path with flow. And if resistance comes, it's not your future path. Even our karmic past might come up, spiritual karma. It's like, where do I belong, or who do I belong with? We often fear change, but it's really what's needed for our growth. So it's like a spiritual relationship may be ending. So a new beginning is at this gateway of transformation. But the path is this pathway. These singers just opened this door to it. It's baby steps, and just from trusting and loving the ladder to grow, being heart-centric. So also our throat center is online. It's the colors of blue, the sky, any shade that brings us inner peace, the flow of water, the elemental water, the energy of mineral, our clair-audience and future characteristics, intuition channel. The hum, that's the seed sound of our self-expression, our throat center. I should probably have hummed a little bit before I got on today. But with the singers as well, it's like, see how far you have come on your earth journey and accept the gratitude and the offering. Just being grateful for the experience that we have created and who we are being, right? So the good and the bad, it really elevates us to this growth channel where we then can vibrate to a higher state, elevating into our own personal spiritual acumen. So I would say use my go-tos, like my virtues or peace. You know, is it bringing me peace? Is it disrupting my peace? Does it bring me joy? Where is my happiness? Where is my integrity? And then just add in a dash of love to juice it up, or pour in a bunch of love, whatever it looks like for you. But I would affirm literally that I am in my chalice, my heartfelt chalice, my galactic super juice, just connecting to the realms of spirit, connecting to the singers, the singer of intuition, the singer of healing, and Rrarrr, that's adding the juice to it. Sometimes I think people are afraid of their intuition or healing, actually, the opposing side of the coin. But that could be our guides, our guardians. It could be an animal totem, an angelic being, an ancestor. So I would just say, like, shine on, be bright like the sun that we all are, that young fire, and we're reflecting. So we got some good juice happening today. We got some tigers and a rabbit. So eastern direction, that's wealth coming in Chinese medicine. Wealth comes in from the east, abundance. Kind of depends how the stars fly. However, I'm just going with that. So InShalla, thanks for tuning in. I apologize for being on Snell time, but sometimes that's just what happens, especially when the time changes and you forget about it. But I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your day.